Hello, welcome to James Bond Sodium. I've discovered some absolutely fascinating facts all about Thunderball that I can guarantee you didn't even know. So stay tuned and enjoy the facts. Thunderball is the fourth James Bond movie of all time and featured the return of Spectre as the antagonists after they had some time off following the spectreless story of Goldfinger. Now, as the Bond movie series moved on, the James Bond actor supposedly became more and more demanding, his demands peaking with his behaviour during Thunderball. Connery famously kept a pet leopard called Pak Pakant, which he insisted that he bring to the studio with him for a couple of weeks, as his manservant, Dalton, refused to look after the dangerous creature anymore after suffering numerous scratches and scrapes. His demand to bring the big cat to work had to be honoured by the producers in fear of either Connery quitting the role or setting the wild beast loose. Sean Connery nearly wasn't able to star in Thunderball due to commitments he had with Star Trek at the time. Thankfully, though, as soon as he'd finished filming his Ruby scenes, he was able to begin his work on the fourth Bond movie, but the only way he could catch up with the filming was that he had to film an entire week's worth of scenes in one crucial day. Several decades after filming Thunderball, Sean Connery possibly gave an interview whereby he was asked which of his Bond movies he liked the best. At first he answered Thunderball, but after an amount of reflection he changed his mind and said he actually liked the one in space with the lasers. Challenged by the interviewer that Moonraker was actually a Roger Moore film, Connery scoffed and told the interviewer to do his homework first next time before talking to him. In a soapy attempt to get the Bond series back on track after the awful performance of Goldfinger, the James Bond producers decided that Thunderball needed to appeal to a more adult audience, and so they insisted that Thunderball have at least 100 swear words added to the script. The new coarse dialogue was eventually edited out of some versions, which explains why you never noticed that the version that you saw was peppered with foul language. Thunderball holds the dubious honour of being the first movie to have a cameraman mauled by a shark. Over 100 hours of underwater footage was filmed using several watery crews. And with all these people and so much time in the water, a shark attack was bound to happen. Postine Andrews had possibly been filming a henchman swimming over some gorgeous sand when the blood-sucking creature sprang out from its hiding place and mauled him, attacking his guts and wrists. As the cameraman was being treated at the hospital, the Bond producers simply replaced the cameraman, as the likelihood of 2 shark attacks was so minuscule that they actually didn't need to worry about it anymore. The endless swimming that the Bond actor had to endure would really test his endurance to the limit. Supposedly, one day, after 10 hours in the sea and drained of all energy in both his body and brain, he was presented with a 35-movie contract by the producers, which he happily signed. A few days later, he realised that he'd signed the 35-movie contract and that it would keep him busy for quite a few years, and so he sought to get the contract made invalid, null and void. In his defence, his brain was addled with the sorrow of the passing of author Ian Fleming, and the contract was rewritten to cover just one more film, and not 35 more. Thunderball features the famous scene where James Bond relaxes on a wobbly seat, which he gets strapped to by an enemy. This scene shows how art can imitate life. There have been several instances of people in the real world sitting on wobbly seats, although a database of these examples simply doesn't exist. Perhaps in this day and age of Elon Musk and Facebook, such a database should exist for the James Bond fans all around the world. As things were getting on with the Bond movies, more and more lines were becoming fan favourites with the fans, from the famous "shaken not stirred" line, to Bond declaring that he has the world's best ear. Thunderball has the first instance of Q's favourite line, "Pay attention, 00 Bond," which he would go on to say for the next 20 James Bond movies, and nobody in the world surely thinks of Q without remembering this solid gold dialogue line. Thanks for checking out my super interesting facts all about Thunderball. Hopefully you learned a thing or two that you didn't realise beforehand, and now you are clued up. Please subscribe to the channel if you want some further James Bond facts. Have a look at my old videos, I've got a few more James Bond ones in there, and if you like Star Trek, you're in luck. I've got lots of Star Trek facts. Okay, all the best, and I'll catch you next time. Ta-ta!
Thank you ever so much for watching my very good video. Don't forget to subscribe to the Very Good channel and come back next week for another very good video. A video to watch. Now, it's a good video.